Hi, this is Steve Palladino, a coach and consultant of Palladino Power Project. And today what we're going to do is use the from one runner to another race power planner to work through a hypothetical question. And the question that we're asking is it possible for me to break 3:30 in the marathon? And a lot of athletes will ask that question, is it possible for me to do this? Well, you can use this calculator and work through hypotheticals to figure that out. To do so, what you need to start off with is you need to know what your current FTP or CP value is, your stride weight setting, the distance that you're going to be creating a hypothetical case for, the approximate time, and then also it'd be helpful if you knew roughly your Rigel exponent for, in this case I'm going to use a marathon as an example. Use what's your Rigel exponent. If you don't know that, you can use the from one runner to another what's my Rigel calculator. There's other ways of doing it. You could also bracket a number, minus 0.08, minus 0.09, minus 0.10. You could bracket it and work that way. The other thing you'll need to know is your running effectiveness that you typically will have for a marathon. I'll also keep in mind that hilliness affects running effectiveness. So if you ran a hilly marathon, it's going to be rather low compared to if you're running a flat marathon. So there's ways of checking your Rigel, your running effectiveness. You can use tempo running, marathon power tempo running, particularly those towards the end of a long run when you're a little bit more fatigued. It gives you a really good idea of what's going to happen under fatigue with the Rigel, with the running effectiveness. You can also use long tempos and prior races like marathon races. You wouldn't want to use a 5K running effectiveness to estimate a marathon running effectiveness. It's just going to be too high. So, like I said, the things you need is you need to know your FTP or CP, your stride weight, the distance you're asking the question about, your Rigel exponent, and target running effectiveness. So, I'm going to use for example, a runner who had a 311 watt FTP, stride weight setting 83.9 kilos. It was for a marathon, and his stride records just a tad bit long. So I actually pulled the actual distance covered for the marathon, so that allows running effectiveness to be a little bit more accurate. I just put 345. Actually, he ran 340 for his marathon. He had a Rigel exponent. I'd worked this out, and I actually bracketed it before the race, but actually found out after the race that minus 0.08 matched the best. He ended up his marathon, his 340 marathon, with a running effectiveness of 0.98. I'm going to go back and change this, 0.98. And his marathon time was 3:40:15, and he averaged 276 watts for that. This is the closest number. Actually, if I change this to 0.76 here, which still rounds up to 0.98, it comes a lot closer to his actual time. So we'll just leave that one in there. So we've established all those numbers. That was his FTP at that time, his stride weight at the time, and both his Rigel exponent and running effectiveness at that time that produced a 340. the question we're asking at this point in time, what is it going to take for me to run a 3:30 marathon? What is it going to take for me to break 3:30 is the question and the hypothetical that we're working through. So we've set it up with that prior marathon, and all we're going to do back here, go here, is we're going to change the FTP and see that, because that's what's going to have to change. Is either is running effectiveness is going to have to change, or is FTP is going to change. Running effectiveness may change a little, but it's not going to shift big time. It's not a big mover. So we're going to work this out hypothetically. What has to happen in terms of his fitness for him to be able to run a sub 3:30 marathon? So we just start putting numbers in here. 3:15, and we come back here, and these reset to 3:37. Nope. 3:20. We just keep working it. That works to 3:33. 3:25. Very, very close. So actually, 3:25 doesn't quite get him there. 3:26 drops it under 3:29.21. So 326 FTP is what he's going to have to get to. So 326 is about just under 5% improvement to achieve a sub 3:30 marathon. Just about 5%. So that is achievable, but it's dependent on when is this marathon? Is it 2 months from now? Is it 6 months from now? It depends on other things. How well was the prior race executed that we're basing this off of? If it was bad execution, then it's more likely that he can get a 5% improvement and get that sub 3:29 or sub 3:30 if he executes better the second time. What about quality of training? If he went through very unstructured training before and got that 3:40, then there's a higher likelihood of him getting 5% than had he gone through a very structured training, really rigorous training program. Then the chances of getting a 5% improvement is a little bit less because you're already closer to your optimal performance. Age certainly has a factor. Older individuals is going to be less likely to get a big percentage than a younger individual, all else being equal. Injuries, if there was a injury issue in the prior marathon, but this upcoming marathon is the training block goes injury free, then more likely to hit that 5%. So there are a lot of variables. I just thought of another one. If, let's say, for example, the prior training period for that marathon, let's just say that added to the runner's base and just made them a little bit stronger, a little bit better. Maybe that moves them a little bit closer to 5%. So there's a lot of variables. 5% might be doable. If I saw a 2% improvement, then I'd say, hey, let's go for that. If I saw a 10% difference, then I'd say that's a big stretch, unless there's a lot of variables that are saying there can be that kind of improvement. So the bottom line, though, is you have a tool to answer that question. Am I capable of doing XYZ in a marathon or XYZ in a half marathon? All you need is a little basic information about where you're at now, what you've done recently, and then you can start playing and come up with those percentages. So again, this runner was 3:11 when they actually ran 3:40.15, and we know this is their Rigel exponent minus a 0.08. Running effectiveness was about 0.98 and produces 340. And we by playing with this, leaving everything else the same, we realize that this person's fitness level has to improve nearly 5%, up to 326 watts to achieve that. One last little caveat, weight. This, if you actually look at this new FTP, it's assuming that the weight change is stable. If you change the weight, then you have to work this out in watts per kilogram. Not hard to do, but you just have to be aware of that. So hopefully this helps you, and it gives you another way of using this wonderful tool from one runner to another tool, and work out some hypotheticals. Thank you very much. Take care.